Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to All Praise Picks. Today we're looking at the NBA. We have the New York Knicks playing against the Toronto Raptors in Toronto on December 9th, 2024. So currently the Knicks are 14 and 9, which is fourth place in the Eastern Conference, and the Raptors are 7 and 17, which is 14th in the Eastern Conference. So the Knicks have a clear record advantage, and overall, I just have better players in my opinion than the Raptors. But I do think this will be a good game. This is the only NBA game on today, so I did take a little bit more time to do the research on it, and I have four parlays for you guys. As always, I'll write down the lines, give you my thoughts, and hopefully, if you tap in, we can all win. So starting off with this first parlay, I combined Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett's stats because I think that they are the two best players for their respective teams. Starting off with Jalen Brunson, I have him to have 20 points and two threes made in this game. Over his last 15 games, the Raptors have given up the fourth most points and the second most 3 points made to the point guard position. And over uh, the last 7 games versus the Raptors, Jalen Brunson has scored 20 points in each of those games, and he's had over 25 in 4 of those 7 games. Brunson has also had at least two made threes in those 7 games versus the Raptors, and over three threes in 5 out of those 7 games. So I think that he'll have the volume as well as just open shots, and he should be able to get over 20 and two made threes. Just looking at his stats in general, over his last 10 games, he's had over 20 points in 9 of those games. And the only game where he had under 20 points was when he scored 16 versus the New Orleans Pelicans. But he only played 26 minutes because the Knicks blew the Pelicans out and won that game by 33 points. So I do think that while the Knicks do have a better team overall, if this game is a massive blowout, that probably is the only thing that could keep Brunson from getting 20 points. But also, uh, he could be the one contributing to that blowout and may come out and score 30 points in this game. So I do think that he has a good offensive matchup in this one and should be able to get 20 points and two threes. Now looking at RJ Barrett, I have him have 15 points and 5 rebounds in this game. This is a revenge game for him. He was traded for OG Anunoby in December of last year, and he did play the Knicks earlier in the past season. He had 20 points on 8 of 15 shooting, or so 53% field goal attempts, as well as 9 free throw attempts and 8 rebounds. So he played very well in his first game versus the Knicks, and I think he can continue to do so in this one. Over the last 15 games versus the small forward position, which is RJ Barrett's position, uh, they've given up the fifth most points and the sixth most rebounds to his position. So I do lean towards his points more so than his rebounds because getting 5 rebounds when he only had 8 in his last game versus the Knicks is a little bit too close for comfort when I think that he will be shooting the ball in this game. But I do think that he should be a pretty good bet to get at least 5 rebounds in this one. Um, in his last 8 games, he's attempted 15 field goals. So, like I said, the volume should be there. And as long as he continues just to play aggressively, he should be able to get over the 15-point mark and should be able to get 5 rebounds throughout the rest of the game. So, this parlay, being four legs, comes out to minus 110, which is just under plus 100. So, if you bet one unit, you get about 95% return on your investment, which is still pretty good, especially if the bet wins. And as always, I would just suggest having financial consciousness and an overall understanding of how many bets you're placing or the amount of money you're putting into each bet before placing the bet. So this is the next parlay that I have. It's focused on grade A Dick's statistics. I have him to have 10 points and two made three-pointers in this one. Uh, Focusing on his last couple of games. So he scored at least 9 points in his last 10 games and over 10 in 8 of those games, and he's averaging 17 points during that span. He's also averaging 7 3-point attempts during those last 10 games, and I envision the Raptors falling behind in this game, which would call for Grady and the other 3-point shooters on the Raptors to take more 3 pointers, which would help him get over 10 points. And I do think that with the volume that he's been taking threes at recently, he should be able to make at least two of them, and he is a pretty good shooter in his own right. Also, over the last 15 games versus the shooting guard position, which is Grady's position, they've given up the fifth most points and are top 10 in 3 points allowed to the position. So I think as long as he continues to take good shots, he should be able to score 10 points. I also included RJ Barrett to have one made 3-pointer. So with Scotty Barnes, who's the point guard for the Raptors, uh, when he's played with him, he's attempted at least three threes in every single game. And while RJ Barrett isn't the best 3-point shooter on the team, he's averaging only 34% this season, which is around league average. He only needs to make one 3-pointer, and he will probably take at least 4 or 5 in this game. So I do think that Grady and RJ should be able to make their threes, and I do like Grady to have at least 10 points. And I also included the Knicks to have over 110 points scored in this game. The Raptors aren't the best team defensively, especially across the point guard position, like I mentioned for Brunson. So I do think that the Knicks, especially after losing to the Pistons in their last game at home, should be able to bounce back offensively in this one. And I just don't envision the Raptors limiting the Knicks scoring, especially if all of their five starters play in this game. And this parlay has the same odds as the previous parlay, so everything that I said applies. So these are the last two parlays that I have. They are plus money parlays. Um, Starting off with the one on the left side, it's focused on mainly Scotty Barnes and Davion Mitchell and their statistics. So in regards to Scotty Barnes, I have him for 15 plus points and one made three-pointer. So over his last 10 games, he has scored over 15 points in each of those games, averaging 22 points during that span. Uh, he's also averaged 7 3-point attempts during that span. So similar to Grady, they take a lot of 3-pointers, and even though Scotty Barnes isn't the best 3-point shooter, the offense mainly flows through him as a facilitator. And I think if the Knicks are doubling RJ Barrett or Grady, he should be able to get his points off of those double teams, whether it comes from 3-point shots or just open layups based off of the coverages that the Knicks are giving them. I also have Davion Mitchell to have 3 assists in this game. So he's had over 3 assists in his last 10 games, and he tends to land around 3 to 5 assists in every game he's played as the backup point guard. And I chose Davion Mitchell to have 3 assists because in looking at the Knicks depth chart compared to the Raptors, once the Knicks have to go to their bench, they really don't have anybody that can defend Davion Mitchell, and he's a really good facilitator, doesn't really take a lot of shots. So I think the only person on the bench that really worries me in terms of this prop is Deuce McBride, who really in his own right isn't the best defender. So I do think that Davion should be able to continue his offensive success when it comes to generating assists. So that parlay on the left side at plus 140, if you invest 1 unit on the parlay, you have a 140% return on your investment, which is great, and especially if the parlay hits. Now looking at the parlay on the right side, it is a little bit higher odds at plus 150, and everything is the same as the left side parlay, except I included Karl Anthony Towns to have 10 rebounds. This was if the game ends up being more defensive. I do lean towards the Knicks winning this game just because, like I said, they have the better starting five, and the Knicks starting five plays a significant amount of minutes compared to the Raptors. So I think over time that the game goes on, the Knicks should be able to just pull away offensively and win the game. But if the game is more defensive, I lean towards the Raptors to have under 22.5 points. And a defensive game will lead to more rebounds, and Karl Anthony Towns is the best rebounder at this time for the New York Knicks. So Cat has had over 10 rebounds in his last 12 games, and he's averaging 14.5 rebounds during that span. And the Raptors are middle of the pack in terms of rebounds allowed to centers, but I think Cat clearly has an athletic advantage over Jakob Poeltl, who's the Raptors center. And Cat is questionable to play with a knee injury, so I'm waiting until the official lineups are released before placing this bet. But I do like this bet if Cat does play, and I do like the other bets more if Cat does not play. If Cat does play, I do lean towards his rebounds rather than his points, because while his scoring has been up compared to his time in Minnesota, he can be inconsistent, and I just lean towards trusting him just to get 10 rebounds, which I think he could do easily in this matchup. And in terms of the Raptors under 122.5 points, I just think if it's a more defensive game, I don't really see the Raptors even scoring over like 110 points in this game. So if it is a more offensive game, that clearly favors the Knicks, who have the better offense, and they should win the game. So I have these parlays side by side here, so you could pick which one you prefer, and hopefully the Knicks play a really good defensive game and end up winning the game, so that both of these end up winning. So yeah, those are the parlays that I have. Appreciate you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for my Monday Night Football video coming out later today, as well as a ladder challenge that I'm doing for the holiday season, which I'm calling the Chimney Challenge, where I make 10K in 10 days, starting off with a $10 bet. But until then, peace out.